The loneliest you'll ever feel is not when you're all alone. It's when you're in a relationship, but there's loneliness in the relationship. So you feel like you're in that relationship alone. Unfortunately, this is something more and more of us psychologists in the practicing field are seeing among our couples. Normally healthy couples are coming in and just saying, we're lonely. We just feel like, we're not connected. We're not able to be there for each other. We're awkward when we're together. There's nothing to say. Sometimes our partner is terse or aggressive toward us. And I just feel alone in this marriage. Now, make no mistake, loneliness is universal and everybody feels lonely sometimes. But when you feel lonely constantly and you're in a relationship, that's a red flag that something is not going well. What I like about loneliness is it's a time that you can reflect and you actually can fix this issue and you can restore the marriage. But like all things, takes your partner committed to the same goal, which is to add closeness. I'm going to go through several things that initiate or cause loneliness, because it doesn't happen all at once, as you can imagine. It happens over years. It's obsequious. It just sneaks in. And before you know it, you feel alone. And it has nothing to do with an empty nest, although that can make people feel alone for a while. But it has more to do that there's no connection, no spiritual, no emotional, no physical connection between the couple. And that's when you know you're alone in a marriage. And it feels even worse because when you go places, other couples are not that way. And it's abnormal. You used to not feel that way. Okay, here's what causes it. If one of the partners becomes bully or territory, they start terrorizing you. If you say something, they jump on it. And that causes you to be defensive or withdraw. And this is what happens with couples who are lonely. Instead of pulling together, they start pulling. They're antagonistic. They're working against each other. And that's not going to be helpful for the relationship. A strong desire for emotional support. If one of the partners wants emotional support and they know they're never going to get that from their partner, they begin being silent. They back away. They become more private in their matters. They're talking to other people. They don't rely on their partner anymore. A loss of physical touch. When's the last time you touched your partner? When's the last time you kissed them or had sex with them? When's the last time you went walking and held hands? If you don't do this anymore in your relationship, you may be finding signs of loneliness among the two of you. Insufficient time spent together. Like you don't value your time together. Something's always first. There's a time schedule. And if your partner and you do have a date, you're looking at your watch like, I got to get home and I got to get these reports in, or I got to finish this project. Today's the last day of the month. If you find that you're putting other things in front of your partner, then you can almost bet your partner's going to start feeling lonely and alone in this relationship. Or just, there's a previous life experience, maybe with trauma or a crisis, that you've never been able to work out. Like, let's say the two of you had a sick child and that child died. This can cause couples to pull away from each other. They can't bear the pain and they can't bear the grief of their other partner. We see this when couples have kids that get into drugs or some sort of estrangement issues, or when something happens within the family, one of the partners gets sick and the other partner can't deal with that sick partner's grief or the care that needs to be given. They pull away and they go into their own private world, leaving the other partner incredibly lonely. So these are the symptoms, what you may be feeling if you're in a lonely relationship. The first of these is that you don't have time to spend with your lover privately. The two of you are no longer private. You're not in bed. You're not having time to talk. You're not having those sacred moments anymore. And sacred moments are those times that, the two of you would go out of town for the weekend You just go for a coffee. This is a private time. You wouldn't be entertaining, texts or phone calls at that time. That would be for the two of you. You are no longer a private couple. When you go out, you always have friends. This is one of the symptoms. You all of a sudden notice it's not just the two of you. Like you're not comfortable being alone together. You're not sharing your daily routines anymore. Healthy couples, they share everything, but they share daily routines. Like one partner knows the other partner's routines. They could tell you what it is. They could tell you what they're doing. All of a sudden, there's a disconnect. You have no idea where your partner is. You have no idea what your partner's doing. Saturday morning, there's nothing. Your partner says, I'm going to go out. You have no idea where they went. This is too loose in a relationship. It's not that you want to be possessive and know everything, but you need to know where your partner is and their basic daily routine. Like what are you guys doing during the day? You had 8 hours at least apart. What did you do during that time? You forget key occasions. Things like anniversaries, birthdays, they're no longer as special. You used to go out of your way to make a video for your partner, or to make a card. Now you don't do anything. And if your partner, remembers your anniversary, that will be a big deal. Many of you are just letting anniversaries go. When you're lonely, when you're in a relationship that has too much space, there's too much room for each person to go their own way, loneliness is going to seep in. And the last one is your partner doesn't ask you for favors or request anything. They don't come to you when they need help. They go to somebody else. That's a very clear sign. You always want to use your partner as your first lifeline. Like if you have a flat tire, you want to call your partner. If you have a problem, you want to call your partner. If you have a question that you don't know, you want to be able to rely on your partner. If your partner stops being able to be vulnerable and think of you as being someone who would back them up, who will help them, then you're going to be lonely in this relationship. You're going to feel like you have to do everything. And it's not going to feel good. A marriage or a relationship is a partnership. It's you and your partner. When one person is down, the other has to stand up and be the hero. You need a hero again. Okay, so if you're not in a lonely relationship, I'm going to ask you to maintain with these tips. If you are in a lonely relationship, I'm going to ask you to start doing these things. And the more you put them into practice every day, the sooner you're going to see the results. The first one, you guys need to communicate. And you need to be able to talk about the topics that are really tough too. You can't push stuff under the rug. Now, a lot of couples have problems when I say this. I want you to set aside 30 minutes at least each day to communicate. What are you going to communicate about? I don't care. Ask open-ended questions. Ask them how they feel about the closeness the two of you share. Ask them how they feel about if you ask them to help you with a favor. Does that make them feel bad or does it make them feel good? The question isn't as important as opening up conversation. Talk to them about what their faith is. Talk to them about what's going on in the world. It can be anything. The important thing is you're spending time without your phone, looking at each other, and actually face-to-face communication. The next one, start reminiscing more about happier times. What are some significant happy times the two of you have shared together? I want you to start sharing that. Talk about it. Remember it. Laugh with it. And if you're a healthy couple, you're going to be having more of those times. So take advantage of that. Keep reiterating and remembering those stories together. This makes couples feel bonded. It makes them feel close again. It's so important. Help each other with small favors. When you need a favor, ask your partner if they can pick something up for you, or ask them if they'll, help you with something you have to do tonight that you've never done before and you happen to know they're really good at it. Ask them to help you cook. Ask them to help you clean, or whatever project you've got going on. Ask them if they'll help, if they'll join you for one little thing. And if your partner's really equally busy like you, then just ask them for a little favor, like could you just get me a box of cereal for the morning? I'm really happy in the morning when I can start my morning with this kind of cereal, and I forgot about getting it today. And when they get it for you, applaud them. Tell them how much you appreciate it. Be grateful. They're helping you create an awesome relationship. And lastly, be aware of their viewpoint. If you're no longer able to say how your partner feels about things, then there's a disconnect, because healthy couples always are able to at least express their partner's viewpoint. They're able to say, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I respect it and I understand it. When you're able to do that, that means the two of you are communicating. That means you're aware, you're attuned, you're on the same page. You're no longer feeling like a single lonely person in a relationship.